Hello, Knit Fam. So I'm recording from my studio today. I do apologize, I've got quite the backlit glare right there. It's like I'm in a J.J. Abrams movie. Anyway, we'll get through it. So, I want to talk about mock rib today, which is a really easy way to do a cuff, hem treatment, that kind of thing. It's not rib, it's mock rib, fake rib. So it's a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, and spoiler alert, is actually just ladders, which you know how to do. So what I've done here, usually we use mock rib at the bottom of something, so you're at the bottom of your hem, at your cuffs, you do it for your neckline. Not always, you can use it however you want to use it, but I'm going to do the sample as if I'm doing a hem, and this is my treatment for the hem. So I'm going to cast on with mock rib. I'm going to do this 1 by 1 mock rib, which means 1 stitch by 1 ladder, by 1 stitch by 1 ladder. You could do 2 by 1, so 2 stitches by 1 ladder, 3 by 1, 3 by 2, 1 by 2, whatever combination you like. So this is where we sample, try things out, see how they look, but I'll show you the 1 by 1. So I'm going to cast on. I'm going to do my E-wraps. And when I'm casting on, notice how instead of pushing, I've got 14 needles in the space of 28 needles, 14 on either side of 0, is what I'm working across, but I'm not using every one of those needles. So I've got every other needle is in D position, and then the other ones are all the way back here in A, because I don't want to use them. So I cast on, I do my E-wraps, again being careful as always that I'm not like pulling them super tight, and where I don't have a needle in working position, I just skip it. Do, 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 do. Hang my little weight on my tail. There we go. Thread my machine as always. Check to make sure there's nothing stuck behind my gate pegs. Check my settings, check my tension, make sure everything is good to go. And then I'm going to knit across. And then again, as always, I check my ends. I sort them out if I need to. And then I push my needles all the way back out into D position for these first 3 rows. Holding the stitches down with my thumb or my hand or my fingers. And I'm only pushing out the needles that have stitches on them. So the ones I left in A position, they're staying in A position. So be careful that you don't accidentally push them out. It's always a good idea to just double check that they're all the way back. So if they're forward a little bit, the machine's gonna think you want to work with them. And then I'm gonna do one more for good luck. Now I'm gonna hang my weights. And knit across. So if I want a trim that's 20 rows tall, I'll knit 20 rows. You can kind of start to see this forming up. It's going to look really different on the machine than in real life when you take it off, because on the machine things are being stretched widthwise, right? When we take it off, we tug them up and snug them, and you'll see how much that like twist and tug snugs things back in. So I'm just going to do a couple more rows. Now, if I wanted to do a piece that just was mock rib, I could bind off here, but remember, I want to do the sample as if this is a treatment for the bottom of something. So I now want to go to stockinette cloth, so that's cloth that is just all knit stitches, or whatever my patterning may be. So I want to bring these needles back into working position. So there's two ways that I can do it. One way is basically if I want it to be a smooth transition, just mock rib and then into stockinette cloth, what I need to do is put a little base on these needles. So just as if I was closing up a ladder in real life that wasn't mock rib, I would take my turtleneck and I put it on my needle and then I just flip it over. And I want to keep these like fairly smooth motions. Use my thumb to hold my cloth down. I'm just grabbing this turtleneck here, so not the stitch that's on the needle, just below it, the little turtleneck, the little bar that's coming across the base of that stitch. And I slip my tool into it. I've got my recording table underneath here, so it's a little awkward for me, and then you put your tool horizontal, grab the stitch, pull it forward, and flip that guy on. So for this half, I'm going to do it this way. Now remember, if I do something where I'm trying to transfer this and I accidentally pull it all the way out, that's totally fine. With the kind of simple knitting we're doing here, you just leave it in D position, and when you bring the carriage across, it'll put it in line with all the others. Now I'm going to do something over here that's going to add a little bit more visual interest to the break between the mock rib and the cloth. So you can maybe guess what I'm doing, but I'm taking my needles, I'm putting them into working position. I like to put them up at B. Again, it could be C or D. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is that they're not back in A. So I'm just going to leave them there. And I'm going to knit across one row. And if you had not yet guessed what was going to happen here, maybe you have now, you can see there are these little bars, little yarn overs going across on the needles that are in working position. And I'm going to come across again. So you can see over here, I've created these picots. And then over here, it's a smoother transition. So I'm going to just knit a few rows so you can see what it looks like. So these are the ones where I took the turtlenecks and I put them on the needles that I was putting back into working position. This is where I just put the needles into working position without putting any kind of a little base on them. And you can see here's my mock rib, and then here are the transitions, and then the stockinette. And you can kind of probably tell already that this mock rib is pulling in more than this cloth, and that's because of those ladders between the stitches. So I'm just going to knit a few more rows. And then I'm just going to peel it off the machine. You know, I say that, I'm going to bind off. So I took the time to actually bind this off, so I'm going to peel it off the machine now. And there's the front of it. Now I'm going to grab it, twist it, pull it. So you can see how, because of those ladders, this part of the cloth pulls in, and the stitches definitely look like, I mean, they look bigger, right, than these stitches. But they come in, they have more elasticity and stretch than this guy does. And it does a good job for a simple hem. We're going to learn how to turn it under. So you can do that with this as well, or any other way you sort of like treat hems. But this is mock rib. It's basically just casting on with ladders, knit however many rows you want, and then transition into stockinette or whatever your stitch pattern is. And it's a quick and simple hem treatment. That's it.